Five Nights at Frickbears 3 is the best FNaF game ever made. It radiates style, it has amazing gameplay, it even somehow gets me to cry when I don't understand what's going on. If you're unaware of Five Nights at Frickbears 3, then where are you? Because this game has been taking over the internet for the past 3 weeks. And for good reason too. And, well, yes, I can sit here and go on for hours and hours about how I love the third game. It is the third game. So what about the first two? See, in Five Nights at Frickbears 1, which was coded in Scratch, you play as Billy, who wants the Family Guy DVD collection. So he gets a job at Freddy Frickbears Pizza. This is the lore, by the way. I don't make it up. So you go out, you get your job, and go through the nights. A very interesting thing about Five Nights at Frickbears is the mechanics are prevalent across almost all of the games for the most part. See, in Frickbears 1, you have your cameras, your doors still to the left and right in you have your mask, your fan, basically everything, and pretty much bounded to all of the same buttons as well. Even the small things, like you can see the animatronics in the doorway before they come to your office. Now again, it is different in some ways because it is a prequel. For example, salvaging, gone. Absolutely, get it out of here. Instead, every night just adds new threats like a typical FNaF game. It's not too in-depth. I mean, it was made in Scratch, so the bar isn't that high. At the end of Frickbears 1, you fight against Wario. This is not a joke. After defeating Wario, he gets arrested and put into prison. Yeah, there's a lot to unpack with this game, but honestly, it's really good. Now, I'm bad at FNaF as it stands, and I would say the first two games are harder than the third, so I wasn't actually able to beat it myself, but the gameplay loop is actually really satisfying. Now, of course, it does have its issues, the controls sometimes not being properly explained, and RNG being an absolute hoe, but the first game does something I really like. It is a small change, but it's a welcome change nonetheless, and that is having music during your nights and changing it up every night. Now, this might not seem like a big thing, and for most people, it isn't. And in reality, it isn't. Me personally, though, it honestly gives the game a way better vibe and atmosphere. See, the game doesn't take itself seriously, and it knows that, so having this background ambient music keeps you engaged, because the last thing this series is trying to do is scare you. And honestly, that's it for Frickbears 1. There's not really much to talk about unless I want to talk about every individual animatronic. Which, fuck you. Not long after Frickbears 1, Wario, who recently got put into prison, made enough money off of the dying franchise to bail himself out. However, when he gets out, he realizes that someone else bought the Frickbears IP. So he applies for the night guard position, and he gets it. After his first night though, his boss calls him and tells him that he needs to go salvage animatronics from other locations. And so he does. Now he does this 4 times until the 5th night, and then the game just ends. Now you want to know a neat thing about Frickbears 2? It's the same as Frickbears 3. The mechanics are the same, and a lot of the stuff is practically one-to-one with the gameplay. Now, of course, it is a prequel, so you know Frickbears 3 does have changes and improves upon things, but as a baseline, they're practically the same, which again, isn't a bad thing, but it just goes to show how much an art style can take you. It is kind of wild how many things are the same, even down to the music. And the one you've finally been waiting for? Five Nights at Frickbears 3. The fan game, which is now everybody's favorite, or the fan game that everyone's going to be talking about for the next 2 months. Like I said, it is a game that is oozing in style, and more importantly, a game that is no longer on Scratch. Woo! Now, of course, some things have changed between Frickbears 2 and Frickbears 3. I know I just said that they are practically the same, and they are for the most part. However, some things have changed, of course. First thing being, there are multiple endings in Frickbears 3, and you're not playing as Wario. As sad as that is. The game is the best in the series, as you can probably tell because you clicked on the video and the countless playthroughs that are up on YouTube right now. And there are a lot of reasons why that is so. The biggest thing probably being presentation. The game just looks better than the previous 2 games, and it is also taken more seriously because again, it's not coded in Scratch. One of my favorites being from Frickbears 2, the fact that you get to pick your own threats is by far one of my favorite parts about the game. because when you play the game, you're probably going to have a completely different experience than one of your friends who also booted it up. There aren't many games that have done this before. The only one I can think of is the roguelike FNaF game, but I think frickbears just executes the idea way better than that game ever did. There is no other game where I can have Sparky and a bilingual Bonnie. It just doesn't exist. The cast of characters in this game is absolutely massive.
Holy shit, is Bonnie doing the floss?
And despite there being so many, they all feel extremely fair. Whenever I die in the game, I know it was my fault. I wasn't blaming it on something else because you can't. You pick the animatronics. The game is as easy or as hard as you want it to be. For example, you could just pick only office-based animatronics and have one of the easiest games ever. However, you could be a true gamer and decide to pick multiple threats from different categories, making it somewhat of an actual challenge. Remember in FNaF 1 where it felt too quiet sometimes, there were too many gaps between events, and it can honestly sometimes make it feel really eerie and scary? That was great. And then Scott turned it on its head in FNaF 2 and made so much chaos that it honestly overwhelmed you and made you feel scared. That was great in concept, but not in execution. frickbears 3 fixes that. Not in the horror aspect, but definitely in the chaos aspect. That's because most animatronics are really easy to deal with. You just have to deal with them every once in a while, and you typically forget about them until a visual or audio cue. And when you have so many characters that have little things that you need to take care of, it makes it feel like there's so much chaos, even though there really isn't a lot you have to do. Which is why I stand by the fact that not only is this the best FNaF fan game, but also just the best FNaF game in general. It knows it's not scary, it doesn't try to come off as scary, but when it does it really, really fucking well. The developers even admit that this would be a golden opportunity to use Fredbear, and god damn it, I'd be a fool if I said it wasn't. The mechanics feel amazing, the loop feels awesome, and overall, it's just a blast. And that's the beauty of the game to me. There is so much replayability that it's actually kind of insane. Speaking of replayability, did you know this game actually has 5 endings? Yeah, 5. Of course, your first ending is just to make it to the end of the week, and that's it. The only requirement is to be a lazy piece of shit and do nothing. Something which I personally strive at. Your second ending involves you getting all the little evil animatronics that the white hot bunny lady wants you to grab, and then fighting Springtrap but antagonist syndrome, which by the way has one of the coolest designs I have ever seen for a reincarnated William. The TV in your office that I honestly forgot about becomes his head. This version of him has done wonders for his reputation ever since Scraptrap. He is actually threatening and not just a fucking peanut. This was the ending I got first, but for some reason I can't figure out why. I can't think of a single reason why this could possibly be the first ending I decided to choose. Real big mystery. You have the good ending where you help Michael get the mask from the marionette and then you do the happiest day minigame, which this ending, I hate this ending so much because that final fucking boss fight, oh my god, it took so long. It shouldn't have taken that long. It's not even that hard of a boss fight. Why the fuck did it take me that long? Anyway, for the fourth ending, you must buy the Talbert files from Candy Cadet. After doing so, on the 5th night, your boss will call you and tell you to go to the sister location. I'm sorry, I'll kill myself. To salvage even more animatronics. After doing so, you're left to face off on one more 6th night with even harder threats, including, but not limiting to, Find My Pages 2, and Oh noes, you've been forgetting to pay your taxes. Time to pay up, fucko. Now those are all 4 endings, but there is a 5th one. A 5th one that is only revealed to you after you do all other 4 endings. See, in this ending, you have to do everything. You have to salvage the evil animatronics, you have to get the mask, and you have to buy the Talbert files. Once you do all of this, you'll have one more final boss battle against Fredbear, which honestly is one of my favorite boss battles out of any FNaF fan game ever. The soundtrack during this part is amazing, not to mention the hyper-realistic model of Fredbear is so jarring compared to the rest of the game that it is actually one of the only times where I felt some semblance of fear. Now, I'm not a lore person, but even I can tell you that this final conversation between the crying child and the protagonist is by far one of the most heartfelt verbal exchanges that I've ever seen come out of a FNaF fan game, or FNaF game in general.
And I'm literally a virus, I can't feel any emotion.
But even I felt something from this. I felt somewhat sad and melancholic. And if you played the game, you probably did too. Unless you played as Luigi, that fucker just sends you to Nintendo support. Every single character has something different and unique to say based on their own personalities, which is also just such a awesome touch. I honestly wish I had something negative to say about this game, but I genuinely can't think of one thing. The only thing I could possibly think of is I wish you can see what the animatronics do before salvaging them, but you could just quit out to the menu and go back in if you find something you don't like, so it's not that big of an issue. But if I were to name one thing, that would be it. Besides that, the rest of the game is absolute cinema.